It's that time of the year again, a time to bid farewell to 2023, a year in which India and the world witnessed some historic events, terrible tragedies, and innovations that could change how we live. We give you a month-by-month lowdown of how the year went by.
हम अपनी बहनों की बेटियों की इज्जत और मान सम्मान की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं।
The first month of the Georgian calendar saw an Indian Supreme Court Constitution bench uphold the validity of PM Modi's demonetization move. In the financial world, the Hindenburg Group published a report accusing the Adani Group of brazen stock manipulation and accounting fraud. Meanwhile, some of India's top wrestlers, including Olympic medal winners, launched a protest at the Jantar Mantar. The wrestlers accused WFI President Brij Bhushan of sexual harassment and sought justice from the government. In the world of sports, Novak Djokovic won his 22nd Grand Slam at the Australian Open to equal Rafael Nadal's record. February saw Cyclone Freddy, an intense tropical storm, bring Mauritius to a standstill and kill almost 1,500 people. An earthquake in Turkey and Syria left over 59,000 dead and caused widespread damage. Closer home, political upheavals in the capital saw Delhi Deputy CM Manish Sisodia arrested in the Delhi excise policy case. He's still behind bars. Beware the Ides of March, Caesar was warned, a warning that could also apply to Rahul Gandhi. The Congress leader was disqualified as the Lok Sabha MP after a Surat court verdict in the Modi surname remark case. However, a Supreme Court ruling later stayed the decision and he was reinstated as a member of parliament. March also saw the International Monetary Fund sanction a $3 billion bailout for cash-strapped Sri Lanka. But it wasn't all gloom. On the brighter note, Natu Natu from RRR and Netflix's The Elephant Whisperer brought India laurels at the 2023 Academy Awards. The month also saw a new shot in the AI arms race, with OpenAI launching ChatGPT-4. While the exact date is difficult to pinpoint, experts believe India overtook China as the most populous country in the world in this month. Meanwhile, Khalistani separatist Amritpal Singh, who had styled himself as Bhindranwale's successor, including getting cosmetic surgery to look like him, was arrested in Punjab's Moga. SpaceX's Starship, billed as the world's biggest rocket meant to send astronauts to the moon, Mars and beyond, exploded minutes after takeoff. Let's come to May. The fifth month of the year saw ethnic violence erupt in Manipur between the Meiteis and Kuki-Zo tribal communities. Officially, 175 have been killed in the conflict that ensued. Meanwhile, PM Modi inaugurated the new parliament building and the Congress registered a whopping victory in the Karnataka state elections by its biggest vote share in 34 years. Speaking of ending streaks, WHO declared that COVID was no longer an emergency, even though it was still labelled a pandemic. And finally, Charles III was officially coronated as the monarch of Great Britain and the Commonwealth, forcing the United Kingdom to change its currency, stamps, and even anthems. June saw a tragic three-way train collision in Odisha that left almost 300 dead. Another calamity saw Titan, a deep-sea submersible that set out to explore the wreck of the Titanic, explode, killing all 5 on board. Meanwhile, the Wagner mercenary group, led by Yevgeny Prigozhin, launched a mini-mutiny against Moscow. The rebellion came to an end soon, and Prigozhin died in a plane crash a couple of months later. Meanwhile, the silver lining in a dark month saw scientists create a synthetic embryo without sperm or eggs. The seventh month of the year saw 21 opposition parties come together. There was Aam Aadmi Party, Congress, Trinamool Congress, CPI, CPM, JDU, DMK, NCP, Shiv Sena, all coming together to form the India Opposition Alliance. The idea was to challenge the Modi-led NDA in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Meanwhile, heavy rains led to flash floods in several states of North India, including Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Chandigarh, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir. July also saw the biggest wildfire in the EU in Greece, which led to the evacuation of tens of thousands of people. August saw one of the most remarkable achievements of post-independence India as ISRO landed the Vikram lander and Pragyan rover on the lunar South Pole. Meanwhile, the Modi-led NDA government faced a no-trust motion from the India Alliance over its failure to restore peace and normalcy in Manipur. The no-trust motion elicited a 2-hour, 14-minute-long speech by PM Modi, a flying kiss and an opposition walkout before the actual counting of votes. In the neighborhood, former Pakistan Prime Minister and Pak Army's friend-turned-foe, Imran Khan, was arrested in a corruption case and disqualified from politics for 5 years. On the other side of the planet, Donald Trump was arrested and released in the Georgia election case. Meanwhile, the Hawaiian wildfires saw over 100 killed and 17,000 acres of land burn. For England, the pain again came from Spain, as their women's team was beaten in the Women's World Cup final. September saw India host the mega G20 summit. The who's who of world leaders, with the exception of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, descended on the Indian capital. The summit also saw the African Union become a permanent member of the G20. Ties between India and Canada nosedived further after Justin Trudeau accused India of being involved in the killing of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The Canadian PM's claim was rubbished by India. The Women's Reservation Bill, which seeks to reserve 33% of seats for women in Lok Sabha and assemblies, was passed in Parliament. Meanwhile, ISRO also launched Aditya L1, India's first solar observation mission. A devastating 6.8 Richter earthquake hit Morocco, leaving almost 3,000 dead and millions affected. October 7 saw the Hamas-led incursion into South Israel from the Gaza Strip. According to Israel's figures, 1,200 Israeli soldiers, civilians and children were killed during the attack. Hundreds were abducted. Following the incursion, Israel declared a state of war, and the retaliation has seen the death of almost 19,000 Palestinians so far. October was also the month of heartbreak for Friends fans across generations. Matthew Perry, who played the role of Chandler, was found dead in a bathtub. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court of India refused to legalize same-sex marriage and passed the ball back to the court of the executive. Microsoft acquired Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard for $69 billion in one of the biggest gaming deals in history. There was heartbreak for cricket fans across the country when Australia beat India in the 2023 ODI Cricket World Cup final. November also saw the bizarre firing and hiring of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, which, to the chagrin of Indian cricket fans, coincided with the Cricket World Cup final. Despite the heartbreak of the World Cup loss, there was much to cheer about. 41 tunnel workers were rescued in Uttarakhand after 17 days of being trapped beyond. Meanwhile, far-right politician Geert Wilders' party won the most seats in the Netherlands elections. Coming to December, in what was termed a blockbuster semi-final ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha election, the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party swept assembly elections in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, while the Congress won in Telangana and the Zoram People's Movement won in Mizoram. Mahua Moitra, TMC MP and one of Modi government's most vehement critics, was expelled from Lok Sabha over a cash for query row. The last month of the year also saw Parliament breached in a conspiracy that involved 6 people. One individual jumped off the gallery and threw a yellow smoke bomb inside Parliament, following which several elected representatives exercised their right to reply in traditional Delhi fashion. Meanwhile, Google released its AI model Gemini, ostensibly to compete with Microsoft on the cloud. And in a move that was viewed with controversy in the Catholic world, Pope Francis said priests can now bless same-sex unions. That was 2023. Now we look forward to 2024. We'll come back to you with more in our next video.